As I've already said, this is a very exciting meeting and a very important moment in history. Today, as many of you will know, the high-level panel of eminent persons, co-chaired by the heads of Indonesia, Liberia, and the United Kingdom, are meeting in New York. They held their first meeting yesterday, and they have a further meeting today. So the process of defining what comes after the MDGs is in hand and is happening right now. It caused me to reflect back to about 1998, a couple of years before the millennium, when I was working in BP Solar, based in London. And we were doing a lot of large-scale rural infrastructure projects, putting solar installations into villages, including in the Philippines, which Jim will be referring to later on for sure. We were interacting then with a lot of donor agencies and a lot of UN agencies. And frankly, it was hard work. There was a certain feeling of business and development. How does that work? How does that come together? There were some pioneers who were working on it, notably in the UNDP at that time, but it was still a very unusual thing. And nobody was talking about businesses' engagement with these Millennium Development Goals. In fact, I had not even heard of them, to be honest with you, until 2003, well after they were already in action, when Jane Nelson produced that wonderful paper making clear a framework for action for business and the way that business action could engage with the MDGs, sort of transposing the two worlds into one. Still a great paper and still well worth a read if you haven't. What a difference the intervening period has made. Through successive meetings here in New York, business has come together traditionally around this time of year, around the UN General Assembly meeting, and has talked actively and openly about the way in which good business, executed responsibly, can have a positive and major impact on social development in emerging economies. The problem with that is, it's a good news, bad news story. Good news is, this time around, we are being asked, business is being asked, what makes sense? What would it be like, a set of MDGs which specifically catered for business, which took account of the positive impact that business can have? The bad news is, business now has to come up with the answer. And that, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen from business here in the audience, means we're going to have to engage with an intergovernmental process. And that is not going to be easy. I was at a dinner last night where we considered the intricacies of the process of engagement, just the process of engagement. Never mind what we want, but how you actually go about achieving it, and it's hard work. Even that, for business, is difficult. But it's going to be worthwhile because the reason that you're all here today is because fundamentally you believe that business is a powerful driver for good within the world of development, and that's what we're going to be exploring today. Essentially, we have two fundamental objectives. The first, which we'll be doing during this morning, is we'll be looking into actual models today, real live business models, where the double whammy, if you like, of good business and good for development is being achieved. And we'll be doing this under the umbrella of the Business Call to Action, which IBLF is a proud partner and supports. Then during lunch and then through into the afternoon, we'll start to explore the subject of what happens after 2015. What will replace the MDGs and how can that be made as positive towards good business and responsible business as possible? How can we achieve that nexus between a set of goals which are challenging and stretching for developing countries and for host governments, but also which allow the opportunity for good business to do what it can do best at the same time. And that will be the start of the journey. We hope as outputs from this day, we will be able to have inputs into those processes which are going on simultaneously, the eminent persons group, and then the intergovernmental deliberations which will be running through into next year. So the timing of this is absolutely perfect.